All right, it's final time in Miami. We've got a great final between the king, Novak Djokovic, and the kid, Jakub Mensik. 19-year-old Mensik from Czechia. He's taking on the king, and it's going to be a interesting matchup because we've got obviously Novak Djokovic, who's won it all, done everything, and we've got Jakub Mensik, who's one of the hottest teenagers coming up the rank. Less hype than Joao Fonseca, but maybe that'll change after his performance here in Miami. So we're going to break down this final match, and we're going to look at how they got through their semifinal opponents. Interesting matches both ways. Djokovic looking absolutely incredible. Mensik looking unstoppable and clutch in the tie breaks. So let's get into this. This is the slice presented by Betway. We're going to break it all down. So thanks for being here. My oh my, where was I? You can tell I was in Miami here before. So shout out to you if you're just joining the show. If you have not been watching it all, I was in Miami for the first week of the tournament on the ground, interviewing players, interviewing coaches, interviewing fans. So check out at the Slice Tennis on Instagram for kind of content that we posted from there. And first of all, as well, if you have not subscribed on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, check out the Slice Tennis Podcast with JP. We have the audio version on there, so you can listen to that when you're going to work or wherever you listen to podcasts. But the important topic of the hour is Djokovic versus Mensik. Unbelievable final because these guys have been playing unbelievable tennis. It's been tough conditions. It's been chaotic in Miami. We already did a video on that, talking about all the players going out too much in Miami, the big stars losing super early. But the biggest star of them all, Novak Djokovic, has found his game here in Miami. So let's take a look quickly at their route to the final, I think, and then we'll talk about their semifinal matchups, and then we'll talk about their matchup. So Djokovic, route to the final. He came. Remember, people were, where's his game going to be at? Is he going to be able to find it in Miami? I had a good feeling that he would, and he did. To start, Bagel gives out a bagel in his first set of the mat or set of the tournament. Beats Rinky Hijikata and then beats Carabelli. Ugo Carabelli. So those are two guys that he should obviously beat. So no surprises there. Then he played Lorenzo Musetti, and I thought that might be a tighter match, but that's when Djokovic's level definitely stepped up. He beats Musetti 6-2, 6-2, absolutely destroys him, plays a great match, and yeah, broke him 5 times, didn't get broken, hasn't dropped a set all tournament, but that's one back. Then he beats Sebastian Korda in the quarterfinals. Then he beats Grigor Dimitrov, 6-2, 6-3, and a super impressive match today, which we will break down. Look at the stats. Mensik, on the other hand, how did he get to the final? He started out his tournament in the round of 128 as unseeded player. He beat Roberto Bautista Agut in 3 sets, and then he beat Jack Draper, Indian Wells finalist. They actually have a super similar game, super similar body types as well, the way they look. Mensik beats Draper in 2 tiebreak sets. He is now 5-0 in tiebreakers in the tournament. That's going to be important. Mensik then beats Safulin 6-4, 6-4. Then he walks over countryman Tomas Mahach, the 20th seed. Then he upsets Arthur Fils 7-6, 6-1. And then today he's beaten Taylor Fritz, the 3rd seed, 7-6, 4-6, 7-6. So Mensik has battled his way through. He's kind of flown under the radar because obviously Joao Fonseca took all the hype for the teenagers in Miami because of the Brazilian crowd. And a bunch of people have questions like, why doesn't Jakub Mensik get more hype compared to Joao Fonseca? And I really think that, having a chip on your shoulder, if you're his fan, is totally fair. That's great. I don't think Jakub probably does. It's, to be honest, it's good to fly under the radar. It keeps less pressure on you. But I think there's pretty obvious reason why he has less hype than Fonseca. Fonseca is from Brazil, which is a country of, I don't know how many people. Let me just check here. 211 million people. And Tomas Mahach is from Czechia. which is 10 million people. So it's about 20 times bigger of a country. So there's that. And that's the main thing. And then also with their games, I think Fonseca is a bit more maybe refined or just kind of like palpable to the eye when you're like, this guy's a superstar, because his forehand, his game is I would say his technique's a bit cleaner. Mensik he's bigger, he's more of a brute, but he's got a bigger game. And that's really paid off here in Miami. So to me, they are both unbelievable stars. And I think just from the eye test early on, it seems like Fonseca has a bit of the higher potential just with his kind of more classic tennis athleticism. But Mensik can beat anyone, like he's shown here in Miami, and he can also do kind of anything. Like, I just don't know what the future is for him. Like, it could be as high as Fonseca, or he could be a guy that's just kind of a dangerous player to play. But for right now, he's a Miami Open finalist at 19 years old, which is super impressive. So let's look at the matches from today. So there you have it. There's the semifinals. Mensik beats Fritz. Djokovic beats Dimitrov. Let's start with Djokovic, Dimitrov. Quickly, Djokovic finds his rhythm. Today was an incredible day of tennis for Novak Djokovic, for tennis, really. Here's a stat that is going to show you how amazing it was for him. So Tennis Insights shows that Djokovic made 95% of his forehands into the court. So he only missed 5% of his forehands, and none of those were unforced errors. He only made 5 unforced errors in the entire match. 2 sets against Dimitrov. It seemed to me, from what I saw, Djokovic played an incredible match, serving unbelievably well, forehand super under control in the windy, tough conditions, and Dimitrov fell apart, like just played a terrible match. The contrast in their shot stats is unreal. Look at this. You go to stats, and hour and 10 minutes. Djokovic 6-2, 6-3. Just go to the winners to unforced errors. Djokovic only hit 10 winners, 5 unforced errors. Great ratio. Dimitrov hit 14 winners, but 32 unforced errors. Just totally the wrong ratio that you want to see for Dimitrov. And he, at the end of the match, he was kind of shaking his head. He just did not know what to do and just couldn't really find anything. Djokovic, on the other hand, 290 serve rating, 87% of his first serves in, incredible accuracy, 75% of those points won. So yeah, he only second serve points won. Like, this is hard to even imagine that it's real. 2 out of 6. So he only won 33% of his second serve points. Yeah, well, he only had 6 second serve points. So Djokovic played the entire match on his first serve, essentially, didn't miss forehands, made 5 unforced errors. Just incredible tennis. One of those unforced errors was a double fault. So yeah, Djokovic kind of unplayable in that form, and handled the conditions better than Dimitrov for sure. Good tournament for Dimitrov, though, as he kind of tries to find his form again after injuries in Australia. But Djokovic looking absolutely menacing coming into the final. So in the other match, apologies. The other match that we're looking at, Fritz versus Mensik, was a lot different. 2 hours, 25 minutes. Mensik comes out ahead. It was 4-all in both tiebreakers, and from that point on, Mensik won the next 3 points. So the serve rating, insane for both, really. It was a super serve-dominated match. 25 aces for Mensik, 309 serve rating, 14 for Fritz. First serve percent in, 72% for Mensik, 82% won, 80 for Fritz. So very serve heavy. Only one break in the match. That was Fritz breaking Mensik in the second set. And go to winners to unforced errors. 40 winners for Mensik. 37 on forced errors, 39 and 34 for Fritz. So this was a lot more of a battle. No clear form player better there, but I think the story here is Mensik 5-0 in tiebreakers in the Miami Open, and he figures out a way to get it done versus Taylor Fritz. And if you're Taylor Fritz, it seems like it just happens so often that there's these players who have the momentum and they're kind of gaining in their career, and Fritz is slowly and surely been making his way into a position where he's the third seed in this tournament. And if you're him, he's just like, the progression he's trying to make in his career now is playing against the best players on the biggest stages. And it's got to be super disappointing if you're Fritz to lose to a 19-year-old when you're trying to make the final to play Djokovic, to beat him, to try to prove that, you're at the top of the game. So kind of falls short on the step before the step that he wants to be at. So that's going to be frustrating for Fritz. But Mensik held his stones a little bit better, both tie breaks. And you often see that with guys who have less pressure. Like, who has more pressure on him, Fritz or Mensik? Fritz, definitely there. And couldn't handle it as well in the biggest moment of that match. And Mensik comes away into the final to play his idol, Novak Djokovic. So now we break down the final. Mensik, the 19-year-old upstart, huge game, 25 aces versus Fritz, versus Djokovic, the GOAT, the master, the locked-in guy. He was playing against Messi today. Maybe that was what made him inspired. But when you're breaking down this final and previewing it, the contrast between these two players is just insane. First of all, Mensik loves Djokovic. He idolized him, probably still does growing up. And so that's going to make it even crazier for Mensik to play Djokovic. There's going to be the pressure of his first Masters 1000 final. There's going to be the pressure of, a new stage, those things. And then Djokovic is the most comfortable player of all time at this stage because he's been to the finals of a Masters 1000 more than anyone. He's won more than anyone. He's done everything. So how does Jakub Mensik win this match? That's the question. Because we know how Djokovic does it. He plays Novak Djokovic tennis. And then if he does that and he controls himself, he's probably going to win the match. How does Jakub Mensik win this match? He has to rely on the serve. His serve rating coming into the Fritz match was, I believe, the highest out of anyone in the tournament. So he really has to get to tiebreakers, you would think, in this match. Probably two of them. But if he can serve and he can handle his own serve games well and stay focused in the moments when it gets to 30 all, because it will, or a deuce or whatever, it's a 3-set match at the end of the day. So him winning and not getting broken and getting to tiebreakers and winning those isn't out of the question. But I would almost feel there's more risk for an upset in the third round or the fourth round of these tournaments, just because of the stage. It's a final. Djokovic has the muscle memory in, to extrapolation levels of winning these types of massive matches, and he knows how to perform in the biggest moments. And Mensik, it'll be a new stage for him. So to me, that's essentially the matchup. But obviously in the serve return, Mensik has a bigger serve. He will try to impose it, and it'll just be like a pitching contest. How well can Mensik serve? How well can Djokovic read it in return? How much pressure can he put on the Mensik serve? Can he break him? Can he not let it get to a tiebreaker? Because if you do get to a tiebreaker, it is a toss-up. I don't care who you are. Mensik's won 5, all 5 of his this tournament. Djokovic has historically been clutch in tiebreakers. And then when Djokovic is serving, his serve was incredible today versus Dimitrov. So how well will he serve, and how well will Mensik be able to return it? Will he be able to put any pressure on the Djokovic service games? That'll wait to be seen. That'll be a huge part of this game. And if Mensik isn't able to impose the serve and there's tons of rallies from the baseline, you just have to think that that's going to favor Djokovic. But I would like to see, if I was rooting for Mensik, I'd want to see him taking the cuts whenever he can, hitting big into big spaces, and just letting it rip, because he's got to use his weapons. He can't sit back and play with Djokovic. And I find a lot of players, when they play Djokovic on a big stage for the first time, kind of do that. Maybe they'll try early. I remember specifically Tommy Paul in the semifinals of Australia. His strategy was, I'm going to come into the net as much as possible. And he tried to, at the beginning, in the first few games, got past, watched Djokovic return on these serve and volley plays that he did, and was just like, you get stunned. It's like you get punched in the mouth and you're just like discombobulated. So we'll see how Mensik is able to do this. Mensik is able to do this, but it's going to be an uphill battle for sure. So the problem with this is if he loses in the final of the Miami Open, amazing tournament for Jakub Mensik. If Djokovic loses in the final, it's not great for him. So he's used to winning. He's expecting to win. Mensik is, I'm sure, hoping to win, but not expecting to win. And therefore, I would lean heavily that Djokovic is going to win this match. He's a huge favorite, in my opinion, based on what I've just said. Yeah, and I expect him to win, probably in 2 sets. But if maybe Mensik takes the first set in a tiebreaker or in a close set, but once Djokovic gets those breaks, I think it starts to unravel for Mensik, and it's one match. It's a quick one, and Djokovic is the king. So he's going for the Miami Open title. Mensik, can he stop him? Can he pull off the full Cinderella run, beating Fritz, the third seed, and then beating Djokovic in the final? We will have to wait and see, but that's a preview of the men's final, Djokovic versus Mensik. Leave your thoughts below as always. Thanks for being here. Shout out to Betway, our presenting sponsor. Let's see if the odds are up here for Betway before we sign off, because it'll be interesting to see what they got. They have it, the men's ATP final. There we have it. Not too crazy. Plus 300 for Mensik, minus 400 for Djokovic. So to me, that's pretty interesting. Not super. They don't have Djokovic as a massive favorite, which I think is good. They're seeing that that Mensik has the puncher's chance. He's got the service chance. He needs to serve well. But like we said, on these courts, on a 2 out of 3 set match, I think anything's possible. So anyways, that's a preview. Mensik, Djokovic in Miami for the title. Leave your thoughts below. Thanks for being here, and we will see you next time here on The Slice.